My Tesla survived 98 rental days out in the road and in the hands of 31 different strangers. But if you saw my last 3 videos, you'll know it was crashed, trapped in a tow yard, hit with a $16,000 repair bill, and totaled by Turo, who paid me out $21.7 thousand. So basically, it was being rented out 50% of the time it was available. I made $4,014 in revenue directly from trips, $920 from 2 damage claims, $294 from additional billing, including returning the car with no charge, returning the car late, and additional miles not included with the trip, for a total revenue of $5,228. I did buy a few things to get the car ready for rentals, like before the 6 months started, including a flash drive for the dash cam, a lockbox for the key card, a cable adapter for the charger, new windshield wipers, new air filters, a new taillight because one of them burned out, a new 12-volt battery, and lightning cables so that my Apple using guests can charge their phones and eat they hot chip, which came out to a total of $385 in supplies. I spent $72 on car washes. Many people said I should get a subscription car wash, but ultimately it was cheaper to pay per car wash because it came out to like $12 a month in car washes. I spent $36 on Uber and filling up gas for a couple rides to get picked up after delivering the Tesla. I spent $15 on airport parking because the guest would pay when they picked the car up, and then I would pay when I picked up the car at the end of the trip. I spent $66 on 6 months of premium Tesla connectivity. This gives guests stuff like just little luxuries like a nicer GPS system, built-in premium Spotify, and fully usable cellular data so that they can use the screen for things like Netflix and Hulu and use the internet browser. I spent $600 for 6 months of personal insurance because I do ultimately drive the car sometimes. A lot of you ask, how do I get such cheap insurance? But it's pretty simple. It's just because, well, 1, I have no points on my license, God bless. But 2, it's because this car was bundled with 2 other vehicles, so that was 3 cars under 1 insurance policy, but I also had it bundled with my home insurance and personal property insurance. So I basically had 5 things under 1 policy, which just gave me very steep discounts. And I spent $4 on air fresheners for a total of $793 in general upkeep on the car, which means before any loan payments, the profit from these trips comes out to $4,050, or an average of $675 a month profit from renting on Turo. That's exactly the same as what I make per room that I rent out in my house. Now, I think this is really cool because both of these income sources, are the same, but also they're both rental experiences. But I must say that being a landlord is absolutely nothing like being a Turo host. For one rental experience, the downside is I'm sacrificing space and privacy to an extent, and finding good tenants feels near impossible sometimes. But the upside is I finally have tenants that I enjoy living with, to the point that it's genuinely feeling like passive income now. I do literally nothing aside from say hi and maybe chat while I'm eating lunch, and then $700 appears on my Cash App every 30 days. For the other rental experience, we have an entire YouTube playlist of downsides, but the upsides are it was fun, exciting, totally confidential, and always free to join. No, wait, that's the wrong script. It felt like going on a new adventure just like every week. I mean, I love Teslas, so getting to work with them hands-on every day without even having to work at Tesla, that was pretty cool. And many of you rightfully ask, but how many hours did you sink into all this? And I normally do keep track of the hours that I invest in something if it's something that I don't love trading my time for. Say like Uber or DoorDash, I was 100% on top of how many minutes per day of my life is going into this. But then say like a hobby, I don't keep track of how much time I spend rock climbing at the gym each week. It's just, I do it because it's fun. But I didn't track my Turo hours because I probably would have done it even if I wasn't paid for it. Well, okay, I kind of wasn't paid for it because after you account for the $3,101 I made in loan payments over the 6 months, this brought my total profit to under $1,000 over 6 months, which is $158 a month. So this is the formula I was using to calculate my monthly financial breakdown videos of like, all right, it's been another 30 days. Let's see how much I made on Turo this month. I was including the loan payment of $443 a month in this, but some of you said it was unfair to do this, considering that these payments would theoretically be recouped whenever I sell the car. However, I decided to include the true month-to-month cash flow instead of banking on what I could theoretically earn in the future, because I couldn't predict what the car would sell for down the road. Maybe I would end up like underwater on the loan. But now that it's all said and done, how much I truly sold the car for is no longer theoretical or like a mystery. We actually have the numbers. And as you saw from my reaction in the last Turo video, I was absolutely floored over what Turo valued my car at. $20,998 plus an extra $700 to cover taxes and fees. Subtract my $250 deductible, and I got $21,448 for this car, which I paid $20,500 for, which you could consider to be actually $16,500 after the used EV tax credit. And let's not forget that this car not only aged 6 months, but it had over 20,000 miles put on it during this time, from guests, from myself, and I was able to let a handful of friends and family borrow the car, which means that Tesla Model 3s are appreciating assets. Okay, hear me out, all right? Okay, wait, listen up everyone. 16.5K invested turned into 21.5K in 6 months, which is a 30% return on investment. If I had put 16.5K into the S&P 500 6 months ago, guess what? It would be worth $16,023 today for a loss. That's right, a loss of nearly $500, which means factually and scientifically backed by hard data, investing in used Teslas will beat the stock market. Guaranteed. Okay, back to how much I made, because after I covered the remainder of the loan, the total profit at the end of the entire Turo experience was $3,191, or an average of $531 per month. But if you want to include the used EV tax credit, which is basically the equivalent of getting paid money, because a dollar that I don't have to give the IRS is a dollar earned, I guess, which means the total would be $7,191 at a monthly profit of $1,200 over 6 months. That's not bad. I mean, that's not bad at all. I mean, dare I say that that's good? What the heck? That's good? Okay, so in the end, no matter how much I enjoyed Turo, I have to admit this was only financially, realistically worth it because it was crashed, because it was totaled, and because Turo paid out well. The irony being, the longer this dragged out and the longer it took someone to crash the car, if ever, I mean, maybe nobody ever would have crashed it, the less I would have averaged in monthly profit. Now, was this a fluke? I don't know, but I'm inclined to say no. Now, before I explain why I believe this was not a fluke, I do want to mention why I even began this series in the first place. Basically, that kind of sounded like I was going to go into a sponsor right there. Maybe I should. If you want to download Rocket Money, you can save money and take control of your finances. I get $10 if you use my link in the description. Download Rocket Money today with my link in the description. Okay, I wasn't planning on that. Basically, almost every project, every experience, every side hustle that I've tried on this channel are all things that I wanted to try, even if I wasn't making videos on them. In fact, most of them started without YouTube being in mind, but it's just that I'm kind of like, being a YouTuber is in my blood and I couldn't help myself and I always have a camera, so I kept accidentally turning them into series. But I started Amazon Flex specifically so I could take a break from YouTube, and yet it ended up being a successful series. The married couple that lived with me moved into my house without any intention to be on camera, but as things transpired, we eventually collabed more and more until there was an entire series centered around them. The Craigslist strangers that moved into my house were supposed to be entirely off the internet just to generate me money, but it went south and became like a 7-part story time. Ironically, the only recent hustle I started specifically for YouTube, where I wasn't gonna do it if it wasn't being filmed, was Uber. I didn't want to drive Uber. I used to like joke around like, oh, if my channel falls off, I'll just become an Uber driver. I didn't know I'd actually do it, but I thought the videos would do well. The videos did not do very well, but after I started Ubering, I was like, wait, this is kind of good money. So I kept Ubering off camera, like 95% was off camera. However, I did occasionally make an Uber video for fun, and then when I finally quit, I figured like, okay, I'll do one more Uber video, an overview of the full experience. And this video, okay, this is insane, I didn't even realize this. My I quit Uber video is my best performing non-exotic reptile video, because that's what the channel used to be centered around, I've ever produced. The video where I'm like, all right, I'm done with this forever is the one that does the best. And everyone was like, no, make more Uber videos. But I was like, what? I quit Uber because nobody was even watching it. Anyway, this is a totally unrelated rant. Let me get back on topic here. So then there was Turo. I wanted to do Turo literally for years. Ever since I had first heard of it, I loved the concept of getting to own cars and run like a little makeshift rental business sort of. I first made my Turo account in like 2019, but I never used it. But I had been like researching and planning and window shopping for Teslas for well over a year before I finally realized I have a way in. There wasn't a single Turo series on YouTube that was able to personally keep me engaged or interested. Like almost all the videos were just a host sitting there. No offense, by the way, these were good videos. Like I learned a ton from these videos, but it was just like a host sitting there and they would talk about the car and they'd maybe show a picture of it sometimes. But I never felt like as a viewer, I was part of the experience. I never felt like I was along for the ride, and I never felt like things were happening in real time. It was always just hearing about, oh, here's this experience I had. It was never a like, what's gonna happen next? Stuff like cleaning and delivering the vehicle and communicating with guests and filing the claims and chasing my car around the city. These are the things that I thought would like be most interesting. So I basically wanted to create a series that I felt was kind of lacking on YouTube. However, I equally wanted to be a successful Turo host. Like I really genuinely wanted this to work out without having to rely on YouTube, because the goal was that I would buy even more cars and just start renting out a Turo fleet as like another source of genuine income. Which brings us back to whether this experience was a fluke and whether I'll buy another Turo car. Will I buy another car? Maybe. I genuinely can't decide. Like some days I'm like, you know what, I think I'm going to. And then other days I'm like, yeah, there's no way. You can let me know your opinion, though I suspect that like 95% of you will say no. Okay, second question, was it a fluke? I'm inclined to say no. Because when I was researching Turo, I kept seeing hosts talk about how it's only worth it when your car gets damaged or totaled. And I was like, okay, yeah, very funny. I took this to be like the same as when an Amazon driver says that Amazon Flex is only worth it when you get bit by a customer's dog and sue them for like $30K in medical compensation. Like, yes, that is a real thing that happens. You really could get $30K if you get bit by a customer's dog, but A, it's rare, and B, people are mostly joking. Like, you don't actually want to get bit by a dog. It would kind of hurt. Well, I don't know. Chat, would you get bit by a dog for $30K? Let me know. And keep in mind, this is like a pit bull that might have rabies. It's not like a poodle. But anyway, for Turo, I realized that when they're talking about wanting damage, they're being serious. It's not sarcastic. It's not a joke. It's genuinely that Turo historically pays out really well for totaled vehicles. They're known to pay out well, and they pay out infinitely better than if you let your vehicle collect scratches and dings and scuffs and mechanical wear and tear and lots of miles, which just destroys the resale value whenever it's time to take it off the platform and try and sell it for money. Which means that if I buy another Turo car, I will literally be hoping the guests crash. Which seems crazy to say, but imagine you could theoretically replicate this like every month. Like you find good deals on Teslas, let's say 18 to 20K, maybe 16K, maybe 22K, and then people crash them. You pay your deductible, you get a few thousand in profit. Just rinse and repeat. Cars are being crumpled every month. Your neighbors are going to be like, what the hell is going on next door? Why is there a destroyed car in his driveway every 4 weeks? But wanting property to be destroyed and people to potentially be harmed. That's a horrible mindset for making money. I feel like I'm about to start an insurance company or something, just profiting off people's suffrage. Because not only does this morally sound like a terrible idea, but also if a person actually is hurt, or much worse, literally killed in your Turo vehicle, or if they kill someone else, it's very likely that you'll end up in a lawsuit. You could be involved, you could be sued, and if you aren't running Turo under a limited liability company, which I suspect very few hosts actually are, everything you own could be at stake. It'll probably be fine, but it's a pretty high risk to take for like a few dollars a day in profit. Not to mention the fact that, someone did die in your car. That's not ideal. That might be a little bit traumatic and also very sad. Turo's weird. Turo's really weird. I don't know how to feel about it. Like, some guests are absolutely great, while others made me want to like crash out, speaking of crashing. The lowest tier, like foreign customer support, was generally not super useful. I feel bad saying that since I know one of them watches all these videos, which, sorry, it's not personal. I like you. Just in general, the support's a bit rough. But the American-based claims department was great. Like, they were all super easy to work with because I think the difference is they're actually trained. The whole process to me was really fun, but there were certainly days that I did not feel like getting up at 5 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. so I can prep and deliver the car. Turo is very up and down, and at the end of the day, I think you really have to enjoy cars and enjoy a little bit of chaos to make it all worth it. So I genuinely feel like this was the perfect ending. Like, I couldn't have written it better. A 6-month experience with good trips and bad trips, good months and bad months. And then the experience ends. Not with a beaten and bruised Tesla that I didn't have to try to resell, likely resell it at a loss, but it just disappeared from my life and is no longer my problem. I don't have to clean up any mess. I just move on and start something else now. It was like buying something from Amazon, using it for 30 days, and then returning it. And not only did Amazon accept the return, but they gave me a gift card on top of it. And the second reason it was such a great experience was because you watched the videos. I was gonna say because you enjoyed the videos, but I feel like a lot of you are just hate watching this entire series. Regardless, it's thanks to the channel members that this was possible. So to show my gratitude, I decided to create a members only video that you can watch right after this one, where I dig into even more nitty-gritty Turo details, including frequently asked questions that I probably shouldn't answer publicly, stuff like the demographics of my Turo renters, and maybe some of the statistics and patterns that went along with them. I'll also be diving into exactly how much profit I made from one of my secret revenue streams, I guess you could call it, as well as a lot more unfiltered opinions and stories of my car rental experience that I have yet to share publicly. So to the channel members, I'll see you on that video now. And to the general public, you can check out the description for more videos that may interest you, as well as some coupon codes and discounts to order a new Tesla, get some EV accessories, and a few other things that I have to offer you. All the links in the description help support the channel, so thank you for watching. I've had so much fun making this series, and I can't wait to share more just random life experiences, literally as I experience them.